Hey there, beautiful people. It's Deena bringing another daily dose. The last couple of days, we've been talking about all things stress related to motherhood and special needs parenting. We've been talking about the diagnosis of stay-at-home mom burnout. I just recently learned that that's actually a diagnosis. I've talked about all the different characteristics of that for many years, but I didn't realize that there's actually now an actual term for that. And again, I mentioned yesterday, I'm not one that tends to hang on to a diagnosis because I believe our God is bigger than a diagnosis. But if it helps you to understand what you're going through so that you can do the research, so you can understand how to walk through that, how to get through that, how to get the help, I do believe that we absolutely have the resources available as far as doctors, therapists, medication, whatever you have to do, because sometimes it's beyond just dealing with fatigue and isolation and loneliness and things that we talked about before. Sometimes you actually chemically have some things going on in your body because you've been living in this chronic high stress state. You might be even dealing with an autoimmune disease because of high states of inflammation in your body due to a long chronic survival mode type of lifestyle. Maybe you're even dealing with complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Whatever that is that comes from living this chronic high stress state of being. And that is so prevalent in stay-at-home moms and moms of special needs children, extreme situations, even troubled marriages, difficulties that we walk through. Sometimes we have a hard time navigating through that or even understanding. A lot of times we're in this place of why is this happening to me, God? I don't understand why you're doing this. And again, I want to remind you, God doesn't do anything to us or cause harm. He will use it to help us. He will use it to grow us. He will help us to be strengthened and build resilience through that. Everything that I've gone through in my life has been a walking through it more than a rescuing from it. And I've shared that over the last few weeks as well. So anyway, these last few days, we've been really giving the statistics and raising awareness and bringing that out into the light. I believe that God wants this out into the light so that moms feel seen and heard and understood. Now, again, this doesn't negate anything that dads do or that men do. I'm just not a man or a dad. I'm just a mom and a wife, and I don't even want to say just a mom and a wife. I think that's a very honorable and a big role to carry. But I am a wife and a mom and a woman, and so that's who it is that I reach out to and who I minister to and who God has placed in my path. But anyway, we're going to move on to the next part of this. This comes from an article that I read, and I gave you the statistics yesterday, and the day before that, we talked a little bit about even what stay-at-home mom syndrome is. But today I want to actually give you ways to cope with this burnout. So being a stay-at-home mom is a hard job that can quickly lead to burnout. However, you can cope and recover from this type of stress. Adopting healthy self-care routines can be especially beneficial. So I'm reading this just because I don't want to have to memorize all this, and I want to be able to give you exactly what was studied. So when it comes to self-care, this is one of those things I have to jump in and just kind of maybe give a different light on that, because I am not one of those moms that like bubble baths and manicures or going out with my friends. That's not the kind of self-care. Sometimes self-care for me is getting alone with God in my office by myself for 5 minutes. Sometimes it's putting on worship music in my head so I can drown out the chaos that's going on around me. Sometimes it is just talking to a trusted friend, a mentor, somebody that has gone down the path that I have gone down and maybe can shed light on that. Or maybe they haven't walked down that path, but they have good biblical advice. So when I say self-care, sometimes it does mean getting away, refreshing, recouping, go on vacation, do those kind of things. But some people don't have the ability to do that because of their finances, or they just don't have anybody in their life that they can get away with and do all of that. So I want to make sure that I'm cognizant and aware that everybody has a different need or situation in their life. For me, I don't necessarily have the ability to always get away, or I don't even have any close friends nearby. Everybody I have friends with are online and live in different states. So I'm not one that gets together with girlfriends often unless I'm doing a Zoom call or a phone call. So I don't have time where I can get away or a way to get away with somebody and just enjoy that. When I do, I thoroughly enjoy it. But it takes a lot, as some of you moms know out there, it takes a lot to set up time for you to be gone, especially if you're the main caregiver. You've got to set up babysitting, and a lot of times you got to go into this huge setup so that whoever can care for your child can do that while you're gone. Sometimes you need multiple people to be able to do that for you. So anyway, a couple of the things that they said, that here are some 10 tips for coping with this. Create time for yourself. That's the first one. Okay, so what does that mean to create time for yourself? Kind of what I just said. Whatever that is. It doesn't mean quantity of time. It means quality of time. So again, I don't know what your situation is, but there are times that, my daughter's busy doing her own thing and I can get away in my office or even just spending time outside, just sitting, meditating, do whatever you have to do. If it is requiring you to get out of the house because there's just so much going on in your house, then getting away and doing that is something that you have to organize and make sure you do it. But you have to plan it. If you don't plan it, it's not going to happen. Incorporate time into your routine to be able to have some time to yourself. Ask your husband to do it, whatever it is that you have to do. If you're a single mom, I understand that the challenges are greater, but if there's a friend or somebody, a family member that can help you so that you can have time to yourself, so you can refill the bucket, so that you can actually give out of an overflow, not from an empty vessel. Number 2 was practice emotional self-care. So this is really using mindfulness, renewing your mind. I'm not talking about the mindfulness like new age where, get away and empty your mind. That's a different way of doing something that I don't believe in. I believe when you're a person of faith, it's not about emptying your mind. It's about filling your mind with God's word. It's about emptying the lies and refilling that with something that is truth. So that means renewing your mind, taking all thoughts captive as unto Christ, and knowing what God's word says about you, your situation, his promises for you. It's renewing your mind and resting on those things that God says are true. Thinking on those things that are good and lovely and pure and praiseworthy. Those are the things. Thinking on things that are above, not focusing on your troubles that you're walking through. And then also involve your partner. If you have a partner, if you have a spouse, then involve them. I don't necessarily do this as much as I should. A lot of times I feel, kind of the responsibility because he's worked all day and he's got all other things that he does. So I feel like, because this kind of goes along with that stay-at-home mom syndrome, that I shouldn't be asking for help because he's busy doing stuff, and this is my part of contributing to our family because I'm not necessarily contributing with an outside job outside of the house. Now, that's something that we're working through, but I'm just saying, sometimes I tend to take on a lot more myself because I don't want to ask for help, but I do need to learn how to do that myself. And I am walking this journey just like you guys are. So anyway, involve a partner or a friend or a mom, or even if you have adult children, ask them to help you with that. Take time away from the office. What I mean by the office is your responsibilities, the laundry, the cooking, the cleaning. That's your office. If you're a stay-at-home mom, then you are doing those things. That's what your work environment is. Get away from that. So again, these kind of all are in the same thing. Take time for yourself, renew your mind, get away, from the environment for a little while, and then it goes on to say, refrain from what it means to contribute. So stay-at-home moms who feel that they are not adding financial value to the household are more likely to experience negative emotions like guilt, shame, and sadness more intensely and frequently. Reassessing what contributing to your household mean can help you see daily responsibilities in a more positive and realistic light. This is something that I'm actually walking through myself. I don't necessarily believe that there's a competition. Like, if the husband makes money and the wife does all this at home, then, we're equal. I don't even think it's about that. But you got to work that out with your spouse, just like I'm working that out with mine. But somebody else's opinion of your value does not matter. So this is the one thing I want to leave you with. If you are in that situation, you can't contribute financially, that does not mean that what you're contributing to isn't just as valuable just because your spouse or your partner or somebody doesn't see that. You remember what we said yesterday. Your value and your worth come from God, not from anybody else. Your value and worth does not come from your role as a mom or a wife. It comes from your significance, from your true identity as a daughter of God. We get our identity and significance because of Christ and Christ's sacrifice and what he did for us so that we can be free to walk in that identity. Okay? So somebody else's opinion of whether you contribute or not is none of our business. That's on them. That's between them and God. So I've had to learn how to see whether somebody acknowledges it or not. So again, if you're looking for acknowledgement from a human being, you might be left unsatisfied and unfulfilled. If you're looking for acknowledgement from God, you're always going to be filled up, because everything that he asks you to do, he will provide for you, even if it's the emotional stamina to do it. Even if it's that thick skin, if somebody says something, that you're doing that you're not contributing. And I know that this is an ongoing argument that marriages have, and one that I would love to be able to shed light on, and what my husband and I have worked through, and are honestly still working through that. We're still working through what that is. But again, what somebody else thinks of you does not determine whether you have contributed or not. And I also don't believe that we should just lay around because we're stay-at-home moms and watch TV, and do our bare minimum. I always believe that we should show up fully with excellence and do everything as we are doing it for the Lord. Even your role as a mom, whether you're doing laundry, whether you're cooking, whether you're wiping up poopy messes, you're doing it with excellence, with the right attitude, with gratitude that God even has given you the ability to do these things. A lot of this will help the burnout and the stress when you start looking at that through God chose you. He's partnering with you. He trusts you with this child. He trusts you in this role. He hasn't left you. He's right there with you. He's training you. He's equipping you. He's pouring into you if you're willing to receive him. Everything shifts in your mindset when you take it that role. If you're taking it like this isn't fair, I have to do all this, and you have this victim mentality, you've actually partnered with the enemy. You actually are speaking the enemy's language, and we continue to keep opening up doors for more torment in our life. Okay, so your contribution that God has asked you to do is valuable. It's precious. He sees it. It does not matter what anybody else says. You need to align your thoughts with how he sees you and how you can contribute. Number 6 was reach out to a friend with or without children. So we talked about that too. I don't always have people that I can talk to outside of the house, but I make sure that I have time, especially with my friend Christina, who does the Junk Drawer Mamas podcast with me. Sometimes our kids are screaming in the background and we have to keep, saying, hold on. Sometimes we're on Zoom. A lot of times we're just on a phone call. I have another friend that I just love and adore her. She doesn't have children or she doesn't have a husband, but she is just like, I feel like I'm talking to Jesus when I'm talking to her, and she just gets it. I don't know. I just love her. Her name is Paulina. I love you, Paulina, if you're watching this. But she just breathes life back into me, even when I'm really struggling with something, so she doesn't necessarily have to know exactly what I'm going through. She understands God, and she's had her own situations that she's walked through. And she's just such a good, faithful friend. And she always breathes life back into me with scriptures and prays with me. You need one of those kind of people in your life. Number 7, meet like-minded parents. I have not been the best at this as well because, again, that takes time out of my day to have to make sure that I go and, find a mom group. That is something I'm looking for now. Everything I do is online. I don't have a lot of local things. We did have a local group, but it kind of fell by the wayside. It had it running for years, and now it's kind of like just event-based. It's not like something we can go to. So trying to find those friends, but again, as a mom, you've got to be able to have time to take out of your day. And it's an event when you take your children on a play date, because that means you also have to go with them too. But it is important, and I know that's something that I'm working on. Be mindful of social media and comparing. This is another one that it's like, oh my gosh, I watch social media, and I'm like, I wish I could do that. I'm not like that. I'm not that kind of mom. But you know what? Every mom role looks different, and God chose you. He knew what your personality was going to be like. He knew what your environment was going to be like, who you were going to marry, whether you were going to be single doing this. He knew everything that was going on, and he chose you for that child. He chose you for this role. So no comparing. That's the enemy. There's no comparing. You're beautiful and perfect and wonderful in God's eyes, and he's going to fill in all the gaps on whatever it is that's missing. We don't need to be comparing ourselves to anybody else, because honestly, you don't know what someone's walking through, and especially social media, you don't even know what kind of filters they have or what they're saying or not saying. I try to be really authentic on here, but I certainly don't show up like I just walked out of bed. You know what I'm saying? So if you were to peer into my life outside of this camera, then yeah, it's going to look a little bit different than what I'm presenting here. I pray that my attitude, my personality is as authentic as on camera as it is off. But obviously, I'm not going to show you every little detail of my life. Not on these videos. Maybe someday I'll take you through my house and show you what everything is. But don't compare yourself to what other people's are. You don't know what their beginning is to their end is. You just do you and your journey. Okay? And then the last one is take it one thing at a time. Being a stay-at-home mom can make you feel like you will never reach the bottom of your to-do list. Man, do I hear this and feel this in my soul. As soon as you finish cleaning in the living room or your kids make a mess again, you always have more to do. And sometimes your family may not always recognize your efforts. Feeling underappreciated and overextended can lead to feelings of burnout. So take one thing at a time. Use stress management tools when you start feeling overwhelmed. This is a stress management tool. Listen to Deena's Daily Dose. I try to give you encouragement every single day. And so we're going to stop there, and I'll continue this tomorrow. Those are just some tips that you have. I love that whole take one thing at a time. Yes, my life is like that. It seems like every time I turn around, I clean up one thing, it's messy again, especially if you have a daughter like Gracie. She's like a little human tornado. And although she likes things in a certain way, as far as like, she's got a little bit of like an OCD thing, like lights have to be a certain way, buttons can't be, even a pen. If I'm writing with a pen, she'll come and close the pen, click it shut, even if I'm still working with it, because she doesn't like certain things out of order. But her room is a disaster all the time. And I clean it up and then it's a disaster. And I clean it up and it's a disaster. She dumps everything out almost on a daily basis. She empties out buckets and bins and even her dresser. I don't know why. If there's another special needs mom out there that can understand that, tell me, why do our kids do that? I don't know why they do that. It's very frustrating. And if I ask her to help me, I usually get a meltdown. So we do it together, but it is an ongoing battle. Sometimes I can feel like it just never ends, and I can spend hours cleaning all that up to turn around and have to do it again. And so anyway, take it one day at a time, one thing at a time. Don't lose sleep over it. Don't stress yourself out by it. It is just part of what we have to do. It's about how we view it and who we're walking through it with. Remember, God has a plan, even in this sometimes chaotic, messy, stay-at-home mom life, special needs mom life. And even if you're not a mom that's watching this, you can relate to some things in your life that are stressful that you're going through. Most of what I bring is for anybody, but I obviously, like I've said, I have a heart for moms that are really hurting. Thank you again for taking the time to be with me this long. And if you know a mom that's really hurting and struggling, send this along her way so she knows that she's not alone. Take the time to subscribe to the family and share this, all that stuff, so that YouTube will keep showing this to the people that really need it. And again, remember that God has a plan. It is good. I promise you. And I love you. And I can't wait for us to be back together again. So have an awesome day. Bye.